All right, here we go. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Coach Hapa. I'm very excited to have you here. Folks, I'm here to answer your questions. So you tell me what it is that you want me to answer, and I'm here to do it. Yes, here we are. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. I am here. I'm excited to be able to answer any questions that you might have. This is AHA. Ask me anything, and we are here to just be able to help you out with whatever it is that you need. Today, the way that I had this set up was actually for us to cover a little bit of library management and organization. That I feel like is an ongoing process. But if you are joining us, do me a favor. And if you're here live, I know some people see this on the replay, but if you are here live, go ahead and let me know where you're joining in from. I'd love to be able to shout you out, make sure that we can get your questions answered. We're also running this through StreamYard. So this is streaming to multiple places at the same time. I'm able to see where you are located, but feel free to put that in the chat wherever you are. And yeah, let me pull this up on my side. I do want to make sure that I highlight any questions that you may have. And then we get to that and that we prioritize some of the live questions that we have. So I'm going to start off. I am going to see about maybe sharing my screen. Let me see if I can do that on this side. Let me just see here. Do me a favor and just tell me if this looks good. Let's see, switch here. Yep, there you go. So you should be able to see that. See my Serato screen. All right. So, and let me pull this up on this whiteboard. These live sessions are great because it's a great way to be able to just interact with you live real time. So do me a favor, if you're here and you're joining in, go ahead and put in the chat where you are from. And of course, any question that you may have, which by the way, you don't necessarily need to have a question to be here. If you're here and you don't have a question and you're just here to hang out and trying to see what it is that I'm about to cover, that's cool too. But yes, certainly want to make sure that if you're here live, that I can get your questions answered. So, Dylan's here. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you, man. All right. Which, by the way, I got your message, Dylan. I will text you back right after this. Make sure that you can get access. Okay. I'm going to share my whiteboard. So one of the things that I want to talk through today, I'll just kind of write down some of the things I wanted to chat about. And then, of course, anything that you're looking for to go over, we can go over. But I want to talk about organization. And in this process of organization, I want to touch on backup. So we definitely need to make sure that we have our music backed up. I also want to touch on smart crates. I feel like this is something that is underutilized for a lot of DJs, that a lot of DJs aren't using smart crates or aren't using smart crates as much as you could or should be. And so we'll get into that too. So smart crates. And then what else did I want to show? Oh, I want just some keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shorts. Because this can make your life so much easier in terms of your workflow, is being able to utilize some of the keyboard shortcuts. Rave Agent in the chat, good to see you. I see Clags here as well, checking in from Vermont and taking notes. Okay, great. Awesome. Love it. By the way, folks, if you are not a part of our community yet, you can go over to school.com/the DJ Coach and be able to get access to our community. We've got a couple of different tiers. We've got a standard tier. We've also got a premium tier and a VIP as well. So make sure to go on over there. If you like this type of interaction, you want to be held accountable, you want to continue to grow as a DJ, this is a great place to be able to do that. So let's start here though. We said, let's start with backup. Okay, so I'm going to start on this whiteboard itself because I want to break this down. And some of you have seen me teach this. I actually have a version of this in the book, First 50 DJ Techniques. Let me grab this just so you can see this, right? So First 50 DJ Techniques you should know. This book is great. Allows for a lot of the things that I teach to be broken down Let me see. Let's go here. Concept 41, which is library backup. So page 84. I'm going to go to this. So I want to review this because I think this is good practice. So let me see if I can get a overhead shot here. Ooh, that's really bright there. Okay, so I'll just draw this out, but I'll just show you that it's here in the book. But I won't be able to draw it as nicely as this. So I'll draw it though on my side. Okay, let's do that instead. So when it comes to this, what I want you to figure out is, what is your process? What is your process when you download music? Where does it go? Where does it live? And then how do you keep it organized? Okay, so I'm going to share with you my process. So I go online, I'm downloading an MP3 from, like, let's say a record pool. Just say that. So I'm going to say from the pool, I'm going to download this. When it downloads, it goes into a folder called downloads, which is just on my Mac. This is by default where it goes. You can change that, by the way. You can change which folder it goes into. I personally like having it go into downloads first because I download other things too. I download PDFs, I download photos. There's a lot of things that I might download, not just music. So some of you, though, maybe have a dedicated laptop just for DJing. And so anything you download on that computer, maybe you want it to go and skip this step. I'll show you. Let me take it step by step though. So this is step one. Now the second step is I then move this from a downloads folder into a folder called music, like DJ music. Put DJ music here. So I'm moving this into this folder. Now, in this case, with my system, this is also, that's a picture of a cloud. This is also backed up to the cloud. This folder is. Okay, and I'll explain here in a moment. I'll go a little bit deeper. So that's step number 3, and then or 2, and then my third step is I'm going to bring this into my, in this case, my Serato. I'm going to drag those files and drag them into Serato. It's my third step. So the reason why this is so important, and the reason why it's important to take it in this order, is because if I don't take it in this order, I could end up with song files coming up missing. So if I were to do this, and let's say I downloaded from the internet, let's use I'll use a color here, a different color. So let's say I've got this file, and let's call this, I don't know, a Kendrick Lamar song. Oops, that's too big. Let's make that a little bit smaller. Okay, so let's say this is a Kendrick Lamar song. Okay, so that file I'm taking from the pool. It then goes into the downloads folder, right? You following? And then let's say I'm excited. I just downloaded it, and now I'm going to move it into Serato. So I'm actually not moving it. It's just that when Serato is referencing it, it's referencing back to the downloads folder. That's where it's going to be able to find that file. Now, let's say, I don't know, a couple days later or a week later, I'm going through my laptop and I'm like, I need to clean up my downloads folder. I downloaded a whole bunch of stuff. So then I move this to here into my DJ music folder. Well, now the problem becomes Serato is looking for this Kendrick song here inside the downloads folder, and it can't find it. Can't find it. So it's like, where is that file? And we've moved it here. So you ever have this inside of your DJ software where it comes up missing? Maybe it's in Serato, it's actually orange where it comes up missing. That's because Serato's trying to go to where it was and doesn't recognize that. So if I moved it to this DJ music folder, now I would need to relocate that file so that Serato is now no longer looking at it here, but instead is reading it from here. Hopefully that makes sense. Here's the best way to approach this. The best way to approach this would be for you yourself to draw out what are your steps that you're taking. And what are the steps that you're taking when you're downloading music? Where does it go from? And by the way, many of you are downloading music from different sources. So maybe, yes, you're getting stuff from this pool, but you're maybe also getting stuff from iTunes. Maybe you're also getting stuff from CDs that you're burning. I've heard so many different ways that people are getting music. Maybe you've got music on an old external hard drive. that you're trying to bring in, right? Like all of these, it's important for you to follow wherever this is going to go. So in this case, maybe you're still bringing this stuff into this DJ music folder, right? And that's the folder that is then being backed up. Now that's what I want to talk about real quick is the backup part. Because if it's not backed up, I would hate for you to lose all of this work. Some of you might be saying, well, coach, I back my stuff up on, one of these. I don't even have an external hard drive on me at the moment. You might be saying, like, I back myself up onto like one of those small external hard drives, SanDisk, 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte. Like that's what I back my stuff up onto. And I'll tell you what, that is better than nothing. For sure. Better than nothing. However, hard drives fail. There's also a lapse in between time versus when you last backed that up. It's also creating a copy. So there's actually 2 versions. There's the song that's on your laptop, and then there's the song that's on the external hard drive. There's 2 copies of the exact same song. So what I'm proposing to you today is by using Dropbox, or you could do this with Google Drive or iCloud even. I prefer Dropbox. I'll get into why in just a moment. But if you do this through Dropbox, it will put you in a place where you only have 1 copy of the song. It'll also be then that you can access that song anywhere. And this is the part that sometimes messes people up. When I tell people it needs to go into Dropbox, they feel like then you need to be connected to the internet in order to access this music, which is completely untrue. It just means that this is living in a place that can be backed up automatically. So whenever I connect to Wi-Fi, whether that's at home, whether that's, at a coffee shop or whatever, then all of those changes that I've made are backing up without me having to do anything. The automation part of it is the greatest part. So do me a favor, put in the chat if like what you're using to back up right now. If you have a backup solution, maybe you're using Dropbox. Maybe you're one of my students already and you're using Dropbox. What are you using right now? No shame, by the way. If you don't have a backup solution yet, I'm glad that you're here because today is going to be the day. And hopefully I get into some of your heads that you need to back up. If you do not have a backup solution, you are risking not only the music, because the music part you could probably get back. The part that you're risking is your time. So all of that time spent organizing tracks, breaking the songs down, setting hot cues, setting loops, putting things in crates, all of that will be lost if you do not have a backup. So this is incredibly important. I don't want to see you lose time. Time is the most valuable resource we have. The music you could potentially get back. The time you can never get back. So hopefully that helps. All right, let me just double check the chat real quick. I see we've got folks that are here. Dylan's here as well saying, yep, that this is exactly what you need today. Yep, have a lot of repeats on your hard drive. Dylan, no shame. I was in the same spot. Literally was in the same spot. In fact, I still have some of my old hard drives because I'm also a bit of a hoarder. I'll just be very honest, especially when it comes to music, especially when it comes to technology. My wife gets on me as I've got all sorts of things. She's like, how many cords do you need? I'm like, I still need a few more. But who's the one who has the cord when she needs it? That's me, right? Okay. There is an in between. Just letting you know, there is an in between. All right. All right. So let's do this. we're going to do a little bit of an exercise today. I'm just going to take you through this process step by step with me. So you can do this with me. Okay. So let me pull up my laptop on this side. I'm going to open up. I'm hoping that this behaves properly. Been having some issues with Chrome recently. All right, let me just double check this. Let me quit Chrome. All right. And by the way, feel free to put in the chat. Yep, see, I'm having some issues with Chrome. All right, let me restart this. I'm going to restart this computer real fast, and then we'll get right to it. That's the other thing, right? Computers, unfortunately, are not made to last forever. I'm tempted to do this other thing with you guys. No, it's okay. Let me stay locked in. Okay, so restart this computer. Okay, while that's restarting, I am going to show you how Dropbox works before I uh, do that then on the computer itself. So let me go back here. So going back to this, the way that Dropbox works is when you have a folder, you have like your regular folders, right, that are on your computer, and then you have like a folder that, let's say, is backed up in let me make it blue. That's backed up in Dropbox. It's going to the cloud. Technically, anything within this folder then would also be backed up to the cloud. So you could have all sorts of folders within this. So let's say this is my DJ music folder. And the greatest part about this is that not only could this be backed up to the cloud, but this could also only live in the cloud if you wanted to, or you have this ability for this to be what's called available offline. So let's say within this is a good example of a way that I have this. So let's say I have like all music. And then let's say this one is holiday. I'll have to write next to it, holiday music. This is a good example. I don't want a whole bunch of Christmas music on my laptop in June or in July, right? Like, I don't want that. So in this case, I would want this to be available online only for right now. And all that is that's just a check and uncheck. Whereas, let's say the music that is in my all, which would be, music that I DJ with on a regular basis, I would want this to be available offline. Now, what's really great about this is that when Christmas comes around, all I need to do is I just need to go into my Dropbox app that's on my computer and then be able to check this, and then all of that music downloads straight away into my laptop, exactly into the folder that it's supposed to be in. So you can take files on and off as much as you want, which is, and some of you may have heard me say this before, but it's almost like having I don't know if anybody has like a basement, or maybe you have a garage, or you have a storage unit, or you have an attic, something like that, somewhere where you store things. They're still yours. You still own them. It's just now they're not taking up all this space in your house, right? So again, going back to the same like holiday example, many of us probably have, Christmas decorations, or, a Christmas tree, or whatever it is that you have, right? Or winter clothes, big puffy jackets or whatnot. Some of you live in places that really require that. I live in Southern California. We don't necessarily fully require that, but I've got my North Face parka for when I go back east, but I don't need that in my closet in July. Not in like my everyday closet, right? It's just taking up space. So maybe it makes sense for me to put this in some type of container, take that container, put that in the attic, put that in the basement. It's still mine. I still own it. It's just now it's not in my way. This is also going to help you with being able to navigate. And I'll just be really honest. I see T-Rail who's here. I spent some time with T-Rail the other day, and we were going through his computer trying to find some space because he was running out of space on his laptop. And it wasn't because he has, a small hard drive on his laptop. He actually has a terabyte on his laptop, which is a lot. That's a lot of space. But a lot of that was being taken up with things that he didn't even realize was still on his computer. So, I mean, there was a decent amount of things that we were able to just move to trash right away. And then I got to imagine that there's probably things that he was looking through that was like, I don't really need this, or I don't really need this, let's say, on my laptop. Maybe I still want I don't know, I'm just making things up. Maybe I still want the, 10 albums of TV theme songs, right? Like maybe you got a folder from somebody, or you ripped these off of CDs, and it was, 10 albums worth of TV show theme songs that are great. This is a great thing to maybe have in a pinch. That would be a good thing to put in storage. Not on your laptop that you're carrying around every day, but good thing to have in storage. And then you could always go to Dropbox and search for, do I have the Jeffersons Moving On Up? Do I have that theme song? Do I have the Price is Right theme song in my, in my library? Let me go look for it. Not necessarily something that I'm carrying around every day. And we don't realize this, but we accumulate so much stuff, especially now in this digital era. Imagine if these were physical records. Imagine what would that look like if these were physical vinyl records? It'd be crazy. You wouldn't have any room in your house. Right? So sometimes I like to think about that because it's a good visual. All right. Also, feel free to put in the chat anything else that you want me to cover. Let me know. Is this helping anybody that's out there? Is this helpful? Are you excited to be able to go through some of this stuff today? Some of you maybe yes, some of you maybe no. I might be exposing some of us. All right. I'm going to go to a record pool that I use. Let's go here. All right. This is the mashup. I also use one called Direct Music Service. I also use one called Headliner Music Club. There's so many different record pools that are out there. So, don't feel like you need to subscribe to all of them. That, by the way, another thing, Dylan, who's here live with us right now, we were talking about this as well. I think last week or the week before was, we've got some of these subscriptions and we're not even using them. It's like I've got subscriptions to 4 record pools and they all have the same thing for the most part. Man, cancel one of them, or at least pause on one of them or 2 of them and then come back to it later. Like, we don't need to have all these sources. Now, I have 3 different, music pools that I use. There are some specific things that I get from each one of these. Direct Music Service happens to have a lot of the older stuff. Headliner Music Club tends to have some good edits that I prefer from different friends of mine. And so I tend to go here for some different things. And then the mashup tends to have a lot of the electronic dance music that I'm looking for from Europe or other parts of the world. So this is kind of why I have these different ones. But let's just go ahead and do this. Let's go to sure. It kind of doesn't matter. I'm gonna go to music. Let's do sure, most Shazammed. I do like some of these, the ways that this is spread out. So let's go most Shazam from 2020. Let's see what pulls up there. See if that'll do that. Okay, so it's thinking. On Direct Music Service, I'm just gonna go by whatever was the latest thing. Obviously, I have the ability to listen to things, but I also have the ability to just download straight away. So I'm just going to download a couple of things. I'm going to download that. I'm going to download this. Can't Tell Me Nothing. I haven't even listened to these. I'm just downloading some tracks. This is just really for what I want to show you as an example. A new Neo song. Okay, cool. Looking Lovely. There we go. So we're getting a variety of different music that I'm downloading. Now you'll notice that it's all going into my downloads folder. This is where it's all going into the downloads folder. So, and here we'll go to the most Shazammed. What is this? Okay. All right. So I don't know some of these. Oh, I remember this one. This was a cover of Ain't Nobody, Shaka Khan. Anne Marie. Oh, wow. I think she was the vocalist on something that the Chainsmokers did. This is a Shazam chart from 2020. So it's kind of interesting sometimes to go back. All right, so let's just download this. Associated tracks. Okay, and let's do sure, let's do this Lunch Money Lewis track. Haven't heard that name in a while either. Same thing with Headliner. The only reason why I'm doing this is just because I want to show you that, wherever you're getting music from, you're going to it's all going to come into the same format of where you're pulling from. Dream. Okay. So another question that comes up sometimes is, Coach, what should I download? I see like different versions of songs. I see intro dash clean, intro dash dirty. Personally, I try to avoid downloading dirty songs. And the reason for that is because where I play most times these days is not in a nightclub. and is not in space. Like a lot of the gigs that I say yes to are gigs in which the clean versions would be more appropriate. And so I try to keep my library as clean as possible in terms of like the music. Now, that being said, every now and then I might run into a song which doesn't have a clean version available or doesn't have a clean version on a record pool, let's say. So in that case, like maybe I am downloading a dirty version and maybe I'm cleaning it myself, or I just have it very specifically marked off to knowing that it's dirty. And a lot of times I end up, avoiding a lot of those records just because, again, like I where I DJ these days, like that's a risk that I can't really take. So, all right, I've gone ahead and done this. You'll see this here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 songs that I just downloaded from these record pools. So I've got these. This is in my downloads folder. So again, going back to what we were showing before here, what I'm going to do is we've done the first step. The first step is they've ended up in the downloads folder. Now, this actually is really important too for me to share with you just from experience is what I just showed you. I did this for the sake of time, but I would encourage you to listen to the songs before you download them. I would also encourage you to be a bit more specific or like kind of run a bit of a filter on, will you actually DJ this song? Will you actually play this song? Where do you see yourself playing this song? Don't just download everything just for the sake of downloading it. And I know you might be saying to yourself, well, coach, like with a record pool, I'm paying for unlimited downloads, let's say, or like I've got enough credits. I just need to use these up. If I don't use them, I'll lose them. Some record pools are built that way. I totally get what you're saying. However, it will actually create more problems in the end if you just start downloading things that you will never, ever play. It'll just take up space in your library. It'll create also this thing psychologically where you have a larger percentage of your library that you don't know, that you're not passionate about, that you're not excited about these songs. Really, if you think about it, even if you were to play quick mixing between songs, my guess is that in an hour set, you're probably maybe getting through, if you're moving quick, maybe you're getting through 30, 40 songs in an hour. And that's like moving fairly quick. It's 30 songs would be, you're letting songs play for about 2 minutes. So maybe you're getting through 30, 40. Let's even just be extra with it. Let's say you're getting through 50 songs in an hour. So at a 4-hour gig, you're playing 200 songs, max, you're playing 200 songs. So when you start to really put that into perspective in terms of how many songs you have in your library or what is necessary in your library, you having a library of 1,000 songs that you really love is probably better than having a library of 10,000 songs of which only 1,000 songs you actually love. The rest of those 9,000 are songs that you've never really played, you've never really heard of, you're not really excited about. And each week you're just downloading more and more music to the point where you now have, I don't know, whatever, 20,000 songs, 30,000 songs. And I've seen people's libraries with 100,000 songs. That's crazy. That's crazy. And there's no pride in that, by the way, in terms of what you carry around inside of your DJ software. That doesn't make you a better DJ. In fact, most times it actually makes you a worse DJ because you have too many options. I know I've fallen victim to that. Like you're just like endlessly scrolling, trying to look for the next song to play. You got too many options, right? So sometimes it helps to be to have a bit more scrutiny at the point of downloading so that you're not downloading everything. So that was my soapbox. Hopefully, I don't know if you agree. You might disagree, and that's okay if you disagree. I'm also here to say maybe the things that maybe are not as popular. So I'm going to say it because I've fallen victim to this. Literally, I'm in the middle of this project myself where I'm still trying to get down to 10,000 songs. I think I'm down to like 12,000 now on my library that I have that I carry around. But I want to get down to 10,000 songs. And even then, that's too much. Okay, cool. Let's go back to this. Okay, so this was our first step. So now I have to exercise a little bit of restraint here. A part of me wants to take these songs and drag them straight into Serato. A part of me wants to do it. Just like, let's do it. Let's start mixing. But I'm going to take the extra step. The extra step is I'm going to put them into a folder inside a Dropbox. And I'm going to move them to a DJ music folder. Now, in this case, because I just downloaded these songs, I'm actually going to move them into a subfolder that exists inside of my Dropbox. It's going to serve as the same thing. It's going to do the same sort of idea here, but I'm going to put them into a subfolder. That way I can delete those because I haven't heard these songs. I don't even know what these songs are. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to switch over here so you can see what I'm doing on my screen. So let's go to Finder. I'm going to open up a new Finder window. By the way, I told you I was going to teach you some shortcuts. Command N on a Mac is going to open up another window. So that allows me to do this. Shout out to my guy T-Rel as well, one of our pro DJ certs. Will be graduating very soon, shortly. One of the other things I'm going to do, and I showed this to T-Rel as well, is you can have an area that is a favorite area. So for instance, let's say this is my music folder. In this folder, I have, where's my, so this is my full music folder. And then some of these are just like things that I'm archiving, other like different folders that I have. Here's the holiday master folder, but I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to take this. I'm going to make a new folder. So you can control click, which is basically a right click. And where's my, hold on a second. There we go. New folder. So I'm going to make a new folder. Let's call this temp. So I just made a temporary folder. Inside the temporary folder, let's go ahead and make a new folder. And I'm going to call this 071126 live video example. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. Now I've got this folder. Now what I want to show you is if I wanted to, I could take this folder and just drag it somewhere and now make it part of my favorites bar, which then means that even if I was only in one window, you'll see that that's right there. And so if I go to downloads, I could take this. I'm going to take these. These were the songs I was looking for, and I'm going to drag this into here. So now what you'll notice is that actually moved them. That moved them out of downloads, and now they're in this folder. Right? So everybody's still following along. Now from here, what I want to do is I want to take this folder and then be able to bring this into Serato. So nothing is in Serato yet. This is still step 2. We're just on step 2. Right? Move it into that music folder. Now, this is inside of the cloud. So this is inside of the Dropbox app. In fact, if you take a look at this, you see on the bottom, this is in Macintosh users, DJ Hapa, Dropbox. So it's inside of my Dropbox. Then it's inside of this Hapa music folder, this temp folder, and then that's where that's living, right? You can see this. This is called breadcrumbs. You can see this here. If you can't see this, what you can do is you can go to view, and it is, where is that at? Show, there it is, hide path bar. So this is the path bar that's here, which yours might say show path bar if you don't see it here. So it is nice to be able to see where that's located. By the way, any of these you can also click on. So I can go and click on this, and now it's going to bring me to this temporary folder. So let's just say I want to take this and now I want to bring this into Serato. I don't have to take each individual track one by one. I can actually just drag the whole folder and drop it right here. And now the whole thing is here. That's it. So now what you can see is it's written this path. So here's the location. The location is users, DJ Hapa, Dropbox, Hapa Music, Temp, and here's where the live video example is. So all these tracks are here, and they're all ready to go. All right, I've got them all inside of my Serato there. So these are those 3 steps that I took. And now here's what I also would say is now at this point, I'm never going to move these files. I'm going to repeat that again. I'm never going to move these files. So wherever it ends up in this folder is exactly where it's going to end up. And that's why normally I would put this into a all folder. This would end up in an all music folder because it would never move from there unless I was ready to get it off of my computer. The actual organization is going to happen inside of my DJ software. And by doing that, that allows me to put this file in multiple playlists, in multiple crates, right? Before, when I was first starting out, I used to put a song into a folder, and that folder would be titled like hip hop, or that folder would be titled club or whatever. And let's say I had one song, 50 Cent in the club. And let's say I had a folder for hip hop. I had a folder for club. I had a folder for birthday. Now I've got 3 folders. I want that file to go into all 3 folders because I want to be able to match it. Well, what I don't realize is I'm actually making 3 versions of the same file. So I have 3 copies of the exact same file living in each one of those different folders. In order to really achieve this, what you should do is there should only be one copy of the file, and that lives somewhere. It lives in this all music folder. And then it lives in these different crates inside of your DJ software. And by the way, I'm showing you this in Serato today, but this would be the same in Algorithm DJ, Virtual DJ, Record Box. It would be the same idea. I'm just showing it to you inside of Serato. So you could have that one file live in as many different crates as you wanted to. I mean, it could not only just live in those 3, it could also be in David's birthday, Jane's birthday, whatever, event for Target. Like, it could be all of these different places that one file still lives. And this is how you can really keep a clean library. Hopefully this is helpful. Anybody finding this helpful? I'm going to double check the chat real quick. So I'm looking at this. I see Duell the doctor here. Welcome, sir. Big Monk, Aaron Leonard, DJ Enliven is here. Love it. Let's see. Yep. Okay, 2 terabytes. 2 terabytes. That's a lot of music. Right. Okay, cool. All right, everybody's got it. Good. All right. By the way, some of you are watching on replay as well. That's cool too. I'm glad that you're watching this. If you have questions, feel free to comment on the video. I try to make it a point to check comments every day on YouTube. So if you comment on any of the videos that we have, hopefully I'm getting back to you on those things. We also do have a community as well. I want to shout out some of the folks that are in our community. We like to think of that as our team. If you want to join the team, please, we'd love to have you a part of this team. We should not be doing life alone. DJing is a team sport, and we're here to help uplift each other. This is not a solo endeavor, right? So, all right, let's do it. Let's jump back in. I am here inside of Serato. I got my files. They're all lined up right. Now, I want to show you something because I told you I would get to backup, but we'd also get into smart crates and also some keyboard shortcuts. We're going to get into all that stuff. So let's say that I don't take my own advice. Okay. And let's go ahead and I'm going to close out of Serato. Doing this on purpose. So this, by the way, this is saving everything. You see how it takes a minute when you're closing out? This is saving everything. It's saving the fact that I made a new crate. It's doing all that stuff. So let's say, I don't know. I'm just going to take these 2 songs because those are the ones I got from Headliner. And let's say I just don't want these anymore. So I'm going to delete them. Or let's just move them. I'm going to move them to downloads. I told you I have a problem deleting stuff. All right, look, because this was in Dropbox, it's saying, hey, you're about to move this stuff out of Dropbox. This is going to take this out of your account, which, by the way, I didn't show you this, but once I moved those tracks, look at what was happening. It was already syncing everything. So if I were to go onto my iPad or if I were to go onto my phone and open up the Dropbox app, all of those 9 songs would be there, which is great. This is happening live, real time. So I'm going to say, go ahead, move it out of Dropbox. So now I'm missing that, right? I've got 7 songs that are left in here. So that I moved to back to downloads. That's where those 2 songs are. You can see those there. Now, when I reopen Serato, you guys who are following along probably already know what's going to happen. But if I go and I'm now in Serato, and just for the sake of doing this as well, I'm going to do this where you can see the album artwork because that'll make it easier for me to see. So the ones I got from DMS and the ones that I got from, which by the way, can you, I don't know if you, I don't think you can sort. That's the only thing you can't do is you can't really sort by artwork, which would be nice to do. Um, these ones, I just might and dance with me. It's missing. Look, it's orange. And that's because, again, it's going to that folder to find it. So what do I do? Am I just screwed? I can't do anything, right? No, I can relocate this file. So if I already know where the file is at, this makes it really easy because I can right click on it. I can say relocate. I can search all, which takes a lot more strain on my computer. Or if I know kind of generally where this is at, I could choose location. So in this case, let's go ahead and choose location. It's going to pull up a window, which, oh, how come you're not able to see that? Oh, okay. Because wait, what? My screen just went pink on you. Okay. Anyways, it's asking me for a location. I'm able to find the location. I'm going to say downloads, and I just selected downloads. So I selected the downloads folder, and I didn't tell it where the exact file is. I didn't name the exact file, but I just pointed it to the downloads folder. And look, now it found it. It's all good. Right. So you would do the same thing if you needed to relocate any of your files. It would be better if you knew where it's kind of generally where the files were, but if you had no idea where the files were, you could just have it search through all. It would put a little bit more strain on your computer, but you could do it. And so this is how you can do that. Now, the nice thing about that is if I had that song in multiple crates and it came up orange, when I relocated that file, it would simply just replace that file with now the new location. So I don't have to re-put them in those different crates. Right? Like that's really helpful. If you had a song, like I gave you that, like the In the Club 50 Cent, if that track was in all these different places and it came up orange, it would be better to relocate the file if you wanted to keep those crates. If that wasn't that big of a deal, the other thing you could do is just find the file, drag it back in, and then delete the old one. You could do that too. Okay. Feel free to put questions in the chat, by the way, if there's any confusion around any of this. So now that we've got that, I'm going to keep the other one as missing, just for the sake of doing it. Let's go back to this view. So now I want to show you one other thing here because I want to show you how you can tag things. So let's say right now in my comment field, I'm not really quite using that. In my grouping field, I'm not using that on any of these tracks. My rating, I'm not using that. Now you can use any of these things. There's no one right way in terms of how you organize your music. And in fact, that is the beauty of this, is that you guys will probably end up organizing your music differently and come up with even better solutions than I have, which is great. I'm hoping to learn from some of you as well. Let's take this and I'm going to change the grouping to something random that I would maybe use. So like, let's say downloaded 07 11 26. Okay. So now keep in mind, I've selected all, which is Command A. I selected all, Command A on the computer. I'll show you another way to do that too. But let's say I selected all and I'm only editing the first one. I just double clicked on the first one. I'm about to edit this. When I hit return, it's going to say, are you sure you want to edit all 9 tags? Yes, I do. And now that's done that to all 9 of them. Workflow wise, this is much faster. So now let's say I wanted to create a smart crate. The smart crate is that the grouping contains DL 07 11 26. Live update, make sure that that's checked on. So this is going to create a new smart crate that is all songs where the grouping contains DL 07 11 26. And there it is. Right? So it's pulling all those files. Now, what's really cool about this is, let's say these 2 songs, I want to change the grouping. Are you sure you want to edit 2 tags? Yes. So now, look at what happened. It automatically updated this one. So the smart crate is working for you, right? So, Coach, how would this be practical? How can we make this more practical? Well, let's just take all of these tracks, and instead of this grouping, let's also, in fact, this is a good one. Let's say I'm going to tag this let's tag this. What's a tag that I use? I use a tag called like vibe. So let's say these are for tracks that would be not necessarily for a dance floor, but are good to just be able to kind of create a vibe. Okay. So if I just change that, that's just one that I've tagged vibe. Um, and let's say I want to tag all of these vibe. Well, what's going to happen here if I write vibe on all of these? Are you sure you want to edit 8 tags? It's actually going to remove that DL tag from this. So no, I don't want to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these ones, and maybe I still want that tag, but I'm going to do a comma. So what this now does is I can have multiple tags on a track. It doesn't matter. Like this does not affect the tracks that are going in here, right? This smart crate is going to do what it's going to do. Grouping contains that. That's going to be good. But I can also now create another smart crate, and I can say that the grouping contains vibe. Now, you could change this to be is or does not contain or is not, right? So if I said is, it would need to match exactly. If I said contains, it would then include anything that had the word vibe in the grouping. So this would be really important because I'll show you. Let's do 2 of them. Let's do this one as is. So the grouping is vibe. That means that the only thing that is in the grouping is vibe. I think that's the only thing. So this one, right? This was a track that I had marked off. This one was another one that I marked. Both of these were that. And then this happens to be a song that maybe I did this to before, and that was there. So this is where the grouping is vibe. Now, if I change this to grouping contains vibe, watch what happens. A lot more tracks. Right, because these are all tracks in my library that at some point in time I tagged as is vibe. Now, another really cool thing, a new cool feature here is if I take a song like this one, Good Time, Something Good. If I right click this and I say show in crates, by the way, there's also a shortcut for this. Shift Command R, show in crates, and it's going to show me all of the crates that this exists in. Now, because I'm running smart crates, this is a song that I just downloaded. We did it together. What you'll notice is that it actually lives in all of these different smart crates. So it lives in this vibe smart crate. It lives in this minor keys smart crate. It lives in this 2005 ads. Like that's kind of interesting that it lives there. I've got to see why it's living there. I know why. Because I've got a smart crate that was anything that was added after a certain date in 2025, which I haven't updated that. I haven't been using those smart crates. So I probably need to change those to actually give them an end date, right? So in fact, actually, let's look at that. So added after January 1st, 2025, and then I should do added before. Wait, added after. So this was added. Yeah, so added before. Added before January 1st, 2026, but it was added after January. Right. So this would then pull exactly anything that I added in 2025. This would give me everything that I added within that. Wait, let me just double check that. Match all rules. Yeah. So that would actually give me the right parameters for that. But you could see you could go crazy with smart crates. I mean, this is like never ending in terms of what you could end up creating. But I do want to make sure that I don't overwhelm you too much. Here's what I would say. I would think about crates that you go to a lot. And what I would do is I would select all the songs that are inside of that crate. And I would actually create a tag for those songs that live somewhere in the file itself. Because if you ever lost your crates, you could always rebuild that really easily with smart crates. So if you had, let's say, a song, I'm just going to continue to use T-Rail here because like I was looking at his library the other day. But like if he had something, he has something called Ballroom. He's a big part of what he wants to do is he want to position himself to be able to DJ for some of these like mature ballroom crowds, grown and sexy, like ballroom kind of vibes. It's got a crate, I think that was like 900 songs. Something that you could do is you could tag all of those as like ballroom or some type of like acronym that you could use. Maybe it's BR or something like that. It needs to match that. I would go with something that maybe ballroom. I would do the whole thing as like ballroom. And I would tag those songs, and then as you get new music, you could tag it ballroom, and as you tag it ballroom in the grouping field, it'll automatically go into that smart crate that is grouping contains ballroom. And so a part of your process then will be after you download the songs, after you put them where they're supposed to be in a folder that can be backed up, the next thing is once you're going through and you're mapping your songs, also tag the song however which way you want to tag it, and then that will now your Serato will work for you. And by the way, this feature exists in every DJ software, which is also nice because if you switch to a different DJ software and you have a handful of smart crates that you normally use, you could run those same smart crates and they would pull the same files, the same songs into those same smart crates, even though it was a different DJ software. Because it's really coming down to the file ID3 tag, like the information, the metadata that's on the file itself, as opposed to something that's proprietary like the crate structure. So hopefully that helps. There's obviously all these other like tools and things like that that you can use for tagging, and you could do stuff like that. Personally, I think when it comes to your library, I think you should have as much control over this as possible. I know it sounds good to be able to just automate this where you can be completely hands off, but when it comes to your library, I just would highly encourage you to be hands on so that you know, because you would hate to lose your library or lose tracks or files or not know where anything is. So I just want to mention that because there are tools that are out there that'll claim to like they'll clean up your entire library in 20 minutes. And that maybe isn't necessarily a good thing because now you don't know where this stuff is. And now you're having a hard time finding this, or now as you're DJing live, you're looking at something that looks super foreign to you. So yeah. All right. Let me double check the chat here. Thank you for hanging with me because this is a big topic. Yes. Okay. I'm going back through this. So T-Raw also mentioned, yes, the other thing I'm going through is some music. I have the whole albums when I don't really need it. Yes, I have the same issue. I've got albums of things that I have downloaded because in some cases, especially if I bought the album, I'm not then going to buy the album and then throw the rest of the tracks away. So oftentimes when I'll do that and I've then bought an album, let's say from iTunes or maybe I ripped the album from a CD that I had or something like that, what I'll do is I'll take the tracks that I want to DJ with and I'll move those into this folder, into the DJ folder. I'll move them into that DJ music folder. The tracks that are the album cuts that I mean, I'm not going to throw them away, but I'm not going to really DJ with them. So those album cuts, I'll then put in a different folder and then have that go up to the cloud. And that will then just be a place where I'm storing albums. And in some cases, what I will do, as I'm thinking through this, it's been a while since I've downloaded a full album and done this. But in some cases, what I will do is I will sometimes make a copy of like the singles. So let's say I had an album and it was 12 songs, but I really only wanted 2 songs that I was actually going to DJ with. I would take those 2 songs and even make a copy in that case. I'd maybe make a copy of those songs, those 2 songs, I'd maybe rename them like, DJ version, or oftentimes I'll edit a track like that. I'll bring it into Ableton, edit a track real quick, maybe put an intro on it or something like that. And then that will now be what goes into my DJ library. And then the album itself still is intact, where it's now not missing, track 3 and track 7. Right. But then the entire album is still living in a folder that then has the album in it. Sometimes I'll do that. It's been a while since I've done it with a full album, but yeah, thanks for bringing that up too. And then Duel asks, can you speak on those who are DJs playing music from the Caribbean and how our storage is used up? I don't know if that's a specifically like a Caribbean DJ like issue. I think that's a lot of DJs. The majority of DJs, I think, are doing that. But yeah, I think, a lot of this is also just being a bit more discerning about what you're going to play. I know that there are certain styles of music, for instance, where like a rhythm comes out, and then, you have 20 different artists that have gotten on that rhythm and done their thing on it. And, you are carrying around 20 versions of essentially, different artists over the same instrumental. And, some of that is just, again, being a little bit more like scrutinizing that a little bit more. Like, you don't have to play everything. You don't have to own everything. And I want to let everybody off the hook. If you're a DJ that feels like you're not a good DJ unless you have every song that ever was created, just newsflash, that's not going to happen. Like, we're not going to be able to keep up with the volume of music that's coming out. I've shared with my pro cert students that a lot of them who are in here, even like an infographic that I had made up, where it was something like 100 to 120,000 songs come out every day on Spotify. Every day, 120,000 songs. There's absolutely no way to keep up with that volume of music. You're never going to have everything that ever came out. And that's a good thing. So I almost feel like a lot of us need to lean in the other way and say, okay, I'm not going to have everything. So I'm not even going to bother trying to keep up with everything. Here are the genres of music that I really love, and this is the stuff that I'm going to keep up with. Also understanding that I'm not going to have everything in those genres either. So I'm going to have this stuff I'm going to have. And a lot of us are probably even playing songs that, we've had for years. So it's not even necessarily about having the latest and greatest necessarily. I mean, the stuff that works today, I mean, it's crazy to me. Like, Michael Jackson is back on the top charts because of the movie, right? And I mean, I haven't downloaded a Michael Jackson song in years because like the Thriller album has stayed in my Serato, right? Like the the Bad album has stayed in my Serato. And not even, again, going back to the album conversation, not even every song off the album, but you should have Beat It, you should have Bad, you should have the way you make me feel, you should have well, actually, maybe not. Maybe you don't have The Way You Make Me Feel, but you have Billie Jean and Beat It and Thriller, right? You have like the sort of the most popular versions, but you should also have songs that you really like, that maybe aren't the most popular songs. Like, one of my favorite songs, Michael Jackson songs of all time, is Baby Be Mine. It's not the most popular track. I also have a really dope remix of I Can't Help It that I love. It's got like this real great percussion, like it was reproduced and recreated with like added percussion elements to it, and it's amazing. I love that track. And yet this is not a song that every DJ is going to have or every DJ is going to play, so you do need those things too. And let's go back to that, right? Like, pride ourselves on being good curators. So hopefully that helps, Duel. But it's not just the DJs from the Caribbean that have issues. All right. Let's see. Aaron is asking, what is the difference between a file with a zipper symbol compared to a file? Yes. Okay. Great question. So a file with a zipper on it is going to be a zip file that actually is, think about it like a container that has files inside of it. So in order to get those files out of it, you have to unzip it. The whole reason for the zip file is to compress the files a little bit without damaging the original files. I don't know the most technical side of this. So if somebody's more technical than me, feel free to add in how this actually works and like the technical speak. But I'm going to keep it pretty layman's terms here. Essentially, what that means is that this allows, when you zip up some files, it allows for the files to be smaller, a little bit more compact. It's kind of like when you have you ever pack with like compression cubes, right? Like inside of your suitcase, where it has like 12 shirts, and you see probably videos of this. Sometimes you stick a vacuum in this thing and it sucks all the air out, right? Makes it smaller. The shirts are still the shirts. They're still in there, but now the profile of it is a lot smaller because it shrank it down. And then when you open this up, everything, the air fills back in and everything is the same size. It doesn't actually shrink anything. That's sort of the way that a zip file works. So in order to get the files out of there, you need to double click on that on a Mac, and I just found this out that a lot of people don't know how to do this. So I actually need to make a video specifically on this, but a lot of people, I was surprised. Like, we get this question often, probably at least once a week, we get this question where people are having a hard time like getting the file into Serato, and it ends up being because it's a zip file. So when you double click on it on a Mac, it'll create another folder and it'll unzip those files automatically. And then that zip file itself, you can just throw away. You don't need it anymore. And in fact, I know I keep using T-Rail. Sorry, T-Rail, I keep using you. But when I was going through his library the other day, we found a lot of zip files where it was just extra stuff that was hanging there. He already had the files themselves. He already unzipped it. So we could get rid of those zip files without getting rid of anything. He's not missing anything. Those tracks are already then on his computer. We can get rid of the zip files, and that can save a bunch of space. So yeah, take a look at that in your library. You might have some zip files that you could probably get rid of, but make sure you unzip them first. By the way, for all my Windows folks, if you're on Windows, if you're on a PC, when you go to the zip, when you see that little zipper file inside of it's not called the Finder window, it's called like an Explorer window, but it's the same thing. It's where you see your files. There'll be a little button up at the top that says Extract All. And so you just have to click on that Extract All, and then it'll do the same process that I'm talking about, what will happen on a Mac. And then again, you can get rid of that zipper file, that zip file. Good question. Very good question, Enliven. Okay. Cool. Just double checking. So the same with crates. Love Baby Be Mine. Yep, that's it. That's it. Go back to if you haven't heard Michael Jackson Baby Be Mine, that might be some homework for you today. Go and listen to that song. And if you know the song but you haven't heard it in a while, go back and listen to it. And just like for anybody that's here as a DJ, I just want to encourage you, if it's maybe been a while since you just like sat down and listened to music, just like and not just listen to music from the lens of a DJ of, ooh, where am I going to use this? How am I going to use this? Because that often is like how we listen to music once we become DJs, because it becomes a part of the tools that we use, right? But just be able to listen to music for the sake of listening to music, and allow yourself, I feel like it just needs to happen on a regular basis. Allow yourself to re-fall in love with music, re-fall in love with certain artists or certain songs again. Like keep that passion burning for the music that you're playing, and then let that like get into your crates as well, because your crates should not just be generic. And if I go onto your computer and your computer looks the exact same as the next person's computer, that's no good. Like, I should go onto your computer and or you should be able to pull out, even right now, you should be like, these are 3 songs that I love that I don't think everybody knows about. These are 3 songs that I love that I want to share with people. And that shouldn't just be the same 3 songs. Every time I ask you, it shouldn't just be the same 3 songs, right? Should be constantly kind of falling back in love with music. Okay. All right. Let's see. Just double checking the chat. Yes. Okay. T-Rail, thanks for saying that. Yes. Okay, good. I'm glad that like you feel better about your library. By the way, I think all of us, myself included, can like really take time on jumping back into our library, figuring out maybe some stuff that we've been just slacking on, things that we have just kind of let overgrow, right? It's like your lawn that you haven't been taking care of, and by the way, if you have, great, awesome. But my guess is that like the majority of people that we're coaching, majority of DJs that are out there, like, you just things happen, and you let things go. And at the same time, there can always be ways to refine this. So even if, let's say, you said, no, yeah, like I've been really taking care of my library, I got to imagine there's probably some things that you could be doing to rethink about the way that you're organizing your library. There always is. It's never ending on that side. Okay. Last thing, because I did promise you this. I just want to give you a couple of key shortcuts that I think are really important. So I'm going to give them to you in a couple of different ways. One is I'm going to give you some like just basic Mac computer type of shortcuts. Okay. So if I was in here, I'll put them on the board. This way I can kind of keep track of them. Okay, so a couple different shortcuts. I know not everybody everybody has a different level of comfort when it comes to computers. I'm just going to give you a couple basic ones. Copy. Many of you probably already know this. Command plus C. Cut. Command plus X. Paste. Command plus V. Which, by the way, there's also another paste, which is Shift plus Command plus V. So what that'll do is that will actually undo any of the formatting that might be on something. So like in a document or something like that, sometimes I'll use Shift Command plus V to be able to paste it in without like weird formatting. Okay, other things. These are all universal. Undo. Command plus Z to undo. Select all. Again, also universal. Command plus A. Here's another one that is fairly universal as well, which is if you were to select a group, a set of things, like let's say a set of files, you could click. So like a set of files, you could do Shift. So you would click on the first one, and then you would hold Shift, and then you would click on the next one that you wanted. So let's say you had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say you had 6 things, and I wanted to select 1 through 3. What I would do is I would click and then hold Shift and then click here on 3, and then it would actually give me all of them. Here, I'll show you. Let's go here. So this Bruno Mars to all the way down to this Billy Ray Cyrus. If I click on, all I did was I clicked on the first one, I'm holding Shift, and I click on the last one, and it's selecting all of those. Now, if I wanted to just select this, plus this, plus this, plus this, that's using Command. So I'm holding Command and clicking on something, and that's now keeping those selected. And now I can take all of these and drag them, right? Or drag them and drop them wherever I want. So you could use Shift, or you could use Control, or Command on a Mac and Control on a PC. Okay. So yes, and let me. I will bring this back down so you can take a screenshot of the whiteboard. This also will be saved as a video as well that you can go back to. I'll also probably put this in maybe I'll put this in a nicer kind of document that you can have as well. But these are really helpful. It's really helpful. And now, if you're on a Mac, also a really important one on a Mac would be Control plus click on the mouse. This is going to equal a right click on on like a mouse, which is actually going to give you more menu options. So let me go back to it. So if I was here and I now control click, it's now going to give me these more menu options, right? So move to Dropbox, get info, compress, which would be to make it a zip file. You could do all sorts of things with this. So the right click is really important. And then same thing when I go into Serato, same thing, right? So a lot of these would be the same. If I was shift and click, that's selecting all of these. If I am doing command, holding command, that's how I'm selecting all of those. Same thing, right? This is still working the same way. And then another one that's here on Serato, another really big shortcut would be that I can right click on any of these now inside of Serato 4.0, and that's now going to show me all of these different options that I've got. Right. So just be on the lookout for how to do, or just be on the lookout for using shortcuts in your workflow, because I think it will really help you. It'll help you out overall. Cool. There's a lot more shortcuts, but I'll probably park it there. Any last question? I can take one more question. If anybody has something you want to ask me, you can put it in the chat. Otherwise, we will wrap up, and I'll let you get on to the rest of your weekend. If anybody else has anything, last call. Cool. I hope that this was helpful for all of you, and this will be available for all of our pro certs. This will be available to you for anybody who's a part of our premium membership inside of the school community. You will have access to this. For those of you who maybe need that link again, let me give that to you one more time here. So if you go to our school community, so that's going to school with a K.com/the DJ Coach. You can join in. You can be a part of this. Like, this is a great resource for you. You should not be doing this alone. Nobody should feel alone on this journey. We really do say this here often, but DJing is in fact a team sport, and we are here to support you. I'm honored to be able to help coach you along the way. I look forward to more of these. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Bye, everybody. All right, here we go. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Coach Hapa. I'm very excited to have you here. Folks, I'm here to answer your questions. So you tell me what it is that you want me to answer, and I'm here to do it.